why these jobs be thinking that forced interactions is fun. I'm just really trying to get my paycheck and that's it. I'm not trying to get to know nobody. I'm not trying to do none of that. Can I just do the job and that's it? That's all I want to do.
What is going on, guys? Jason Nita here, and today we are talking about forced work interactions. But before we get into it, I have a quick favor to ask. If this is your second time or more tuning into one of my videos, please feel free to give it a like and to subscribe if you feel so too inclined, because it does help with the YouTube algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. And with that, let's get into the topic.
I'm starting to believe that some of these employers want us to go back into the office is because some of these employees have no friends. I know some companies receive tax breaks and incentives to bring employees back into the office, but some of these companies also are not receiving any of that and they're just doing it for the hell of it. Then, when you do want to collaborate in office on a project or have a question, that value goes straight out of the window. They don't want to collaborate with you. They're like, oh, you can handle it on your own, or you can finish this all by yourself. What happened to collaboration? What's wild is you may go into another room to get some peace and quiet while still doing your work and messaging them on Teams or Slack, and they'll have an uproar because they didn't see you at your desk. Then you'll be like, dude, I was just collaborating with you earlier. I was in a meeting room with you for 30 minutes. And they'll be like, we want you to sit outside with us. And it's like, no, you just want to micromanage people. And when you say that kind of stuff to them, they're like, no, we just really want to include you in the conversation. Meanwhile, they're not talking about anything work related or important. They're talking about what they ate for dinner last night and their weekend plans. It's like, we're here to do our job. I can talk about last night's meal and weekend plans with my friends. I don't need to talk about it with my coworkers who I have barely anything in common with and who get on my last dang nerve.
Yikes.
And some coworkers say, well, it gets very lonely working at home. I don't really have anyone to talk to. Then go get some friends. I've noticed a trend. The managers plus that complain about people not coming into the office frequently are the same ones that have poor management skills. So if you're a manager and you're watching this video and you complain about people not going into the office frequently, maybe you should take a look at yourself and your social skills.
All right, guys, what do you think? Do you think she's right? Do you think she's wrong? What do you think? I think that if you're having the experience that she's having, it may be time to switch jobs, because you're working in an environment that is not that great, it sounds like, with people who are not that great, it sounds like, because they're micromanaging. And also, it sounds as though maybe the type of work you're doing may need to be changed. Because listen, I've had an experience where I do work that is more, I don't want, is more skilled labor versus an unskilled labor. And I think that makes a difference. And this is not like, I'm not taking a dump on any type of work. I'm just saying that some work, for example, if you work in a call center environment, by nature, you're going to be more micromanaged. You're going to have to, they're going to be monitoring your metrics way closer. They're going to be checking when you log on the phone, when you clock off the phone. They're going to be listening to your calls. They're recorded. So it's going to be a different environment versus if you're working as some kind of administrator somewhere. As long as the work is done, that's what matters. And they're not so much on your back. Even in some companies, that's not the case. Some companies, no matter if you're salaried versus hourly versus skilled labor versus not skilled labor, they're still gonna be on your back. And they're still gonna want you to be sitting next to somebody on a meeting that you're both in the same meeting. Everyone's in the same meeting on Zoom in the office, which I hear that a lot, and it does sound kind of ridiculous. But overall, I would say that if this is what you're experiencing, it may just be time to switch it up.
One of the things that frustrates me most about corporate America around this time of the year, the holiday season, is the fact that there's an unwritten rule that you have to go to holiday parties, work events. Like, if you don't show up, it's a huge insult to the company leaders and to the people that you work with. And it's just one of those things that's always irritated me. Number one, a lot of those holiday parties are heavily involved with alcohol, which isn't for everyone. But then it also just doesn't include people who are maybe introverted or shy, or even people that really don't care that much about forming relationships and friendships at work. Like, is it okay just to go to work, make money, and not have a ton of friendships? But if you don't go to one of those holiday parties, then you are seen as someone who's not a culture fit. And it really has nothing to do with your work performance, the work that you're getting done. And I just think any company that kind of forces that on people, which is pretty much every company, is making a huge mistake. And it's one of the things that really, really annoys me about how corporate America is set up.
Okay, I think you made a really good point that I've talked about before, which is that a lot of our society, the way it's set up is for extroverted people. And it kind of makes sense because extroverted people would be the ones to set it up because they're out there kind of interacting and doing things versus introverted people who are more to themselves and, value just small, close relationships. They're not really going to be the ones to set up the environment, right? So there's two pieces to it. And so I think he has a good point on that a lot of these office parties, and not just office parties, office culture in general, working in the office in general, open concept offices where you have a bunch of cubicles, a wall that just barely covers your eye level.
Good morning, cubicle monkeys.
And everyone's working around each other and it's just kind of open. It's meant to be more collaborative, but really can feel kind of awkward, especially if you're introverted or if you're shy. And so I think that's a good point that, that's a challenge when it comes to being back into office and having these forced interactions. Part about the whole alcohol thing, I mean, you don't have to drink, you don't have to drink. It's not a big deal. What he said about some people who just want to come in, do their work, get a paycheck, and not really be involved in company culture. I think that that's a little bit different. I think that if that's how you feel, you have to find the right company. You don't want to go work for a company like a startup, for example, where they're looking for someone to be very collaborative, very engaged, very about building relationships and innovating together. If you're working for a company like that, but you expect them not to want you to be involved in that, then that's on you. But if you're at a company where it's like a huge corporation, and let's say you just work in one sector of it, and it's a well-established company, it's not in a growth phase. I can understand the point of maybe not necessarily wanting to be forced to be so involved with office culture and develop your relationships and just wanting to come in, get your job done, and go live your life outside of work. I can see both sides of it. So nonetheless, though, some of these forced work interactions can be a bit awkward. But again, let me know what you think in the comment section. Also, it depends on your personality. It depends on whether you're introverted, extroverted. It depends on what stage of life you're in. If you're a younger person, let's say you work with a bunch of other younger people and you all want to go for happy hour afterward, maybe it's different. Maybe if you're a person who is more mature, you have a family and kids, maybe you don't want to spend too much time in the office. Maybe you want to get in, get out, and go back home to your kids and your wife or your husband or your spouse or whatever. So I think it depends on a lot of factors. But that being said, let me know what you think in the comment section about it. I'm curious. And if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Feel free to give the video a like and a thumbs up and subscribe if you feel so too inclined. And until next time, make smart financial decisions.